Right now, let's talk about a story. I have to say, I was so angry when I saw this, especially when you read the copy, the BBC articles and Telegraph and the Mail. They report these things about a transgender paedophile who identified as a woman. I said trans woman because you're not actually a woman, grooming a 14-year-old girl, getting her pregnant. This paedophile was able to groom, sexually assault and get a 14-year-old schoolgirl pregnant because he, identified as a transgender woman, tattooed David Orton, befriended the victim and her family, gained their trust because he claimed that he was a trans woman. He is now starting a 9.5-year jail sentence after, thankfully, parents went to the police where he became concerned. He'd groomed her so much that she didn't even realise she'd been exploited, but she only told officers about the relationship when she revealed she was pregnant with his baby. He was actually not found guilty of rape extraordinarily, but he has been found guilty of numerous other charges. But crucially, the report was about this court case said that a trans woman had been convicted. It's not a trans woman, it's a man, isn't it? Let's talk to Helen Joyce, who's author of Trans, When Ideology Meets Reality, and is also Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters. Good morning to you, Helen.
Hi, Julia.
This story absolutely incensed me because we keep seeing these headlines where trans woman guilty of blah, 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 when it's quite clearly a man who has committed these crimes. I mean, he got her pregnant. How could a woman get a 14-year-old girl pregnant? Now, your book, When Ideology Meets Reality, this is when ideology meets reality, isn't it?
At least people like the BBC did put the word trans in the title. I mean, we do see these that they just say woman did such and such, woman assaulted somebody, woman attacked, woman lured child on the internet, or even, good things like first female billionaire to do something, rather first woman to win a quiz, and you read down and you realise it's not a woman, it's a man. And, whatever about the courtesies of using preferred pronouns, I am all out of courtesy with men who have sex with underage girls. I don't feel
call me old-fashioned.
Yes. They're not the people I really feel I have to be watching my P's and Q's most about. So, yeah, I mean, the BBC's headline, trans woman jailed for sex with 14-year-old girl, at least the word trans is in there. But you know what? You don't have sex with 14-year-old girls because they can't consent. Yeah. I don't know the details of why it wasn't decided to be rape in court, but, 14-year-olds can't consent.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It is statutory rape, is it not? He was found guilty of 2 counts of penetrative sexual activity. I mean, again, I don't know why that isn't rape, but there we are. She apparently thought she was consenting. She had been groomed. She was a victim of... He was able to gain, because he is a man, he was able to gain the trust of the family and have so much contact with this 14-year-old girl, because, let's face it, I wouldn't genuinely allow my daughter when she was 14 to be hanging around in private with a 25-year-old man who wasn't part of the family. Again... Would that be normal? No, it would not. But he was able to gain access because he claimed to be a trans woman. They thought he was not a threat for some bizarre reason. And this is one of the things. No one is saying that every person or every man who is confused about his identity and chooses to wear women's clothes and live their life as if they were a woman, as a trans woman, is a threat to children. Absolutely not. No way are we saying that. However, there are plenty of very, questionable sexual predators who will deliberately use the legislation, the self-ID and the PC attitudes towards trans people as a way of gaining access to women and to children.
It's interesting, isn't it? I'm not sure why the family found him so convincing, because he doesn't look convincing in the slightest. No. It's obvious that this person isn't a woman. I can only think that it's a sort of a misplaced desire to be kind, which I think is behind an awful lot of, for example, the preferred pronouns and so on. And it's a good impulse, but it's an impulse that predators ruthlessly use to get what they want. Yeah. So I just think, when it comes to children's safety and when it comes to talking about the things that harm women, rape, assault, all of these things, I think there's no place for be kind. We just have to use reality-based language.
We see these figures constantly in court reporting. They will say her penis, and it's like, I'm sorry, it's nonsense. They're expecting victims to use this language as well in court. But also, this is skewing a lot of the crime figures as well. This massive upsurge in women's sexual crimes and violent crimes.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no such thing as her penis. A penis is the defining thing of being a man. It's the male sexual organ. And there's no way that 2 women together can get pregnant. And, he got her pregnant. It just, the whole thing, like, it starts from this idea that, you imagine some nice person who's having trouble living their lives comfortably, and you think it's a small concession, and before you know it, you're writing nonsense like woman jail for sex with 14-year-old.
Absolutely.